Right, so if you've been coming to the liquidity event, you know Nate. And you probably got a copy of one of his books. Definitely a man that you need to pay attention to. He's been speaking all over the city lately. I don't know if you're on LinkedIn, but if you are, you've been seeing him in every room of importance throughout the city. And now he's about to speak in front of another one. Please give it up for Nate Scott.
All right. How y'all doing?
Excellent.
You can do better than that. How you doing?
Excellent.
Real quick. Now I'll tell you about this whole idea about playing little out. There's nothing greater than your time investment. Absolutely nothing. You see, at 19, when I walked the river during Operation Desert Storm, I said, Lord, if you allow me to make it back, I'll never waste a day of my life. See, it's in those moments of decision has to be made. Tonight, I want to create that same opportunity for you to make a decision so that you don't leave here in the same state that you came in. That's my promise to you. My promise to you is that if you lend me your ear, I'll give you my heart. If you lend me your ear, I'll give you my heart. So I'm just going to set the stage so that in turn, you'll make a shift. Because the state in which you're in right now is going to determine what your future state will be. This will be the first step towards the future that can begin right now. Fair enough? Repeat after me. Dramatic wealth is a virtue.
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 I'm open and receptive to any ideas and people.
I'm open and receptive to any ideas and people
that will help me to achieve my goal of dramatic wealth.
that will help me achieve my goal of dramatic wealth.
I'm open and receptive to any ideas and people
I'm open and receptive to any ideas and people
that will help me to achieve my goal of dramatic wealth.
that will help me to achieve my goal of dramatic wealth.
I'm open and receptive to any ideas and people
I'm open and receptive to any ideas and people
that will help me to achieve my goal of dramatic wealth.
that will help me to achieve my goal of dramatic wealth.
I am worth $100,000 per month,
I am worth $100,000 per month,
and I love sharing it with those in need.
and I love sharing it with those in need.
I am worth $100,000 per month,
I am worth $100,000 per month,
and I love sharing it with those in need.
and I love sharing it with those in need.
I am worth $100,000 per month,
I am worth $100,000 per month,
and I love sharing it with those in need.
and I love sharing it with those in need.
Through perseverance, I am creating
Through perseverance, I am creating
the financial dynasty I so richly deserve.
financial dynasty I so richly deserve.
Through perseverance, I am creating
Through perseverance, I am creating
the financial dynasty I so richly deserve.
financial dynasty I so richly deserve.
Through perseverance, I am creating
Through perseverance, I am creating
the financial dynasty I so richly deserve.
financial dynasty I so richly deserve.
Through perseverance, we are creating
Through perseverance, we are creating
the financial dynasty we so richly deserve.
the financial dynasty we so richly deserve.
Now give yourself a hand. You know, today I finished up about 15 hours of intense study of AI, artificial intelligence. How many of you put any time yet into really understanding AI? Excellent, excellent. Well, see, I've been about 2 years of dabbling with no formal instruction. But this week, I made a decision that I would lock in. that I've locked in to having some type of real understanding of what this AI thing really is, so I can get an understanding of what the possibilities really are. You see, the two biggest expenses that people pay are ignorance and taxes. Ignorance and taxes. Say it, ignorance and taxes. We all have ignorance in some way, shape, or form, right? Ignorance is not a negative term when someone says you're ignorant. Ignorance simply means you don't know something. When Nikita spoke tonight, did you guys get any information that was new for you? Yes. So what she did was, by being up here and being an extension of the invitation that Randolph gave, is that she made an intentional effort to reduce your ignorance.
That's true.
Right? Now, whether or not you walk out of here ignorant or not is going to be greatly determined by how attentive you are to the information that's provided. How many of you are in situations where you're providing information and unfortunately there's a resistance and you really are like, what aren't you getting? Right? And it can be a bit frustrating. And here's what I want you to anchor in as a first note. The reason why it should be frustrating and maybe unsettling for you is because you're in a noble profession or you're engaged in a noble activity called sales. And so you won't get that unless you reframe this to have the right understanding, because otherwise you may feel a certain way about what you're doing and it may not allow you to continue to move forward with the engagement. So here's what I want you to make a note of. Sales is helping people to understand the logic and the benefit of making a decision or taking an action. Sales is helping people to understand the logic and the benefit of making a decision or taking an action. I want you to try that on for size. I want you to really see if you can really walk into that understanding. Sales is helping people to understand the logic and the benefit of making a decision or taking an action. So I want to frame it in that way because I know many of you, I'm sure, by show of hands, how many of you are, raise your hand if you're in business. Okay, please. And then I'm excited because I'll talk to you guys really because I want you to walk out of here with something of true value. As he said, my name is Nate Scott. I'm the author of the book, Life is Rich, How to Create Lasting Wealth. It's a principle-centered, biblically based leadership program focused on personal growth and entrepreneurship. I address the cash flow danger that no one is talking about. The fact that 77 million baby boomers are retiring and facing cash flow danger. That 66 out of 100 people age 65 earn less than $30,000 retirement. That 47% of people said they had a $400 emergency, they had to sell something or borrow money to address it. And 68% of people live paycheck to paycheck. I cover leadership as the answer to cash flow danger. It happened to me. Become an entrepreneur, choosing the right entity, raising capital, asset protection, protecting your financial privacy, reducing your taxes, retirement plan, residual income retirement plan, estate plan, and life is rich. That was birthed out of my experience in combat at 19 when I said, Lord, if I'm going back, I don't waste my life. That's how Life is Rich Global was birthed. It means I live in fullness every day because I realize I'm Christ here. That's the why behind it. Make a note. Are you being real in your business? Real. Are you being real in your business? Real. Real. Are you being relatable? Are you being relatable? Are you being relatable? How important is relatability? Huge? Why is that?
Trust.
Trust. How about that? There's a book called Speed of Trust. Make a note of that. Speed of Trust by Covey. The son, not the father. See, I see some of you smile. 7 Habits How to Affect People. I picked up that book in '96. And that has been an annual, at least, touch since 1996. The 7 Habits of How to Affect People. The letter E in real, educational. Educational. You're relatable, but then you need to be educational. Why is that important?
Otherwise, it's just talking.
It's just talking. And one of the things that you may run into is that you have something that you want to offer, but a person's not aware. They're not aware of that. They're not sitting around thinking about what it is that you have that you want to talk to them about. And I see so many people run up against the wall because they want to lead with their offer and they want to sell their solution as opposed to the problem. What do I mean by that? There's an issue that in turn an entrepreneur is addressing that causes them to offer something to the market. Entrepreneurship is problem solving. So when someone says, I'm not an entrepreneur, I said, you're just misinformed. Let me walk you through what that really means. Because the reality of it is that entrepreneurship is a thing that enables this country to continue to move. Someone has to be responsible for solving a problem to give other people an opportunity to engage. That's why the government will partner with you as a business owner. That's the only way you're going to tap into the HRA. That's the only way you're going to tap into the HSA, but truly it's not about the HSA. Especially with deductions being eliminated for people that are non-business owners. Everyone, say everyone. Everyone needs to be in business. That's the heart of what Life is Rich, Trying to Create Lasting Wealth is about. I address the things knowing that most people talk about business, but they're not talking entrepreneurship. People talk about money, but they're not talking financials. So therefore, ignorance and taxes are the biggest expenses. I have to reduce both. Anyone that's a W-2 employee that doesn't have a business is paying at least 40% more in taxes. Let me say that again. Anyone that's a W-2 employee alone and does not have a business also is paying at least 40% more in taxes. And most people are ignorant to that fact. Tonight I said that I was going to speak to the topic of how to transform from skeptical and broke to smart, sexy, and sustainable. How to transform from skeptical and broke to smart, sexy, and sustainable. How many of y'all want to have those three?
Sounds sexy.
Huh?
It sounds sexy.
It sounds sexy, right? And that has to come through the filter, and then that hits the thought, right? And thoughts lead to feelings, which ideally will lead to action, which then will lead to results. Say thoughts, lead to feelings, lead to actions, lead to results. My desire is for you to have results. As an executive business coach, I'm hired to work about transformation. I begin with saying, let's find out where you're at versus where you want to be. And then let's look at this gap. And then I act as a bridge beside you to create that transformation. Skeptical. When you think about skeptical, well, what does that mean? What are you skeptical about? Tell me something. Just give me something that you're skeptical about.
Will it work?
Okay? Will be okay. You're skeptical about whether or not the business or the idea will work. What else?
Got it.
Go ahead.
For employees, it's job security. He's skeptical about that.
Skeptical about job security. Okay, I heard someone over here.
Got it.
The economy. Okay. Okay. And so skeptical really means you don't have great confidence in something. How does that lead to broke?
So if you're skeptical with life insurance, for example, you will not make that investment, and you might impact your family and generations.
Wow.
Gotta take action.
Right?
ROI.
Okay. Return on investment. Okay. So the simple thing, and each one of you want to do is you want to do an assessment of yourself and say, what are you skeptical about? How many of you have been skeptical about AI? Okay, right? Top of mind, right? How about I put that out there right there? You're like, oh yeah. And being skeptical about it, what's the risk that you're running? Left behind. They say if you're not growing, you're dying. Okay, but how does skepticism serve you?
Helps you become more cautious.
Okay, what else?
They can evaluate.
Huh?
They can use it.
Right, right?
Limit your risk.
It could, right? But there's a risk. Have you ever heard the term opportunity cost? Right? So put that into context as you're experiencing things, and you got to do that own self-reflection. My challenge to you is to reflect on your own state about what you're skeptical about and what's the risk of being skeptical. And think about how does that actually serve you. Okay? Because when we think about skepticism, we can look at the things that can really result, and one of those things may be financial struggle. Isn't that true? The financial struggle that comes as a result of just being skeptical. And so what I say, instead of being skeptical and broke, be skeptical and curious. So if I put that in there, what does that mean?
You're open to ask questions.
Right, open, inquisitive. And as a result of doing that, what can happen?
Opportunity to turn educated.
Huh? Yeah. Because you end up what? Knocking down those things that are not really based upon anything rational.
Right.
And so you gotta slow it down and say, okay, I'm skeptical, but let me see what's the worst that can happen. And what am I really missing that's causing me to be hesitant? And let me outline those things, and now let me go and get the answers so that I can either prove or disprove my skepticism. Isn't that fair? Isn't that smart? Isn't that a smart, replicable process that you go through?
True.
In all things, you're okay with being skeptical, but don't be skeptical and broke. Don't be skeptical and broke. Be skeptical. Give people an opportunity to be skeptical. Stand in the gap with them. Hey, I understand how you feel. Let's walk through this. Because it's something that maybe you'll uncover as a result of these questions that you ask me that may help me.
Exactly.
I might be blinded. I might just be ignorant. You may have a better grasp of the questions that you need to ask. Do you know how that AI works like that? Do you know that the better the input, the better the output is? What's that word for that? What's the input called? You know? Huh? Prompt. The better the prompt, the better response. And do you know that you can actually put your prompt and then cause AI to make your prompt be better? You can max out your prompt. You can do your brain dump and tell AI something and then say, create this make this a mega prompt. Make this something that is actually tight. And then it'll come out and spit out some stuff that blows your mind. You say, that came from me? It was partner assisted. So that's a practical step about getting beyond your skepticism. So instead of being skeptical and broke, be skeptical and curious. Afford yourself the opportunity to get on the other side. That won't happen though unless you're fully aware. So let's talk about the awareness. So let me tie it into what Nikita spoke of. How do you want to look? How do you want to feel? And how do you want to live the last 10 years of your life? How do you want to look? The life expectancy of women is 81, and we're going to take off 10 years at 71. How do you want to look physically at 71 and beyond? I want you to tell me what that looks like. That's the right answer, because now tell me the image of that. What does that look like? What physically look? How do you want to look if you're hot and sexy? You know what you don't want to look like. Now, see what's funny about it is that it's like I don't want to judge that. How do you want to physically look? You know what you don't want to look like, so tell me what you want to look like.
Friends, happy,
Physically.
thin and toned.
Right? But to be honest, now let's talk about it. What oftentimes is an indicator, a predictor? What does oftentimes the external look predict? What's the leading cause of death? Heart disease. See, awareness. Which now means that if you're aware, and I ask this forward-looking question, you now have the opportunity to backwards plan for you military persons, and then take some actions. So when I ask that question, I want you to think about that visually. How do you want to look? Now, how do you want to feel? Okay, feel confident. How else do you want to feel? Vibrant, strong, right? See, the most common things that people will tell me is that they want to be vibrant, energetic, right? You want to look good, you want to feel good. See, those are common things that inevitably, if we really had the opportunity to create the life we desire, we look at that and then we do it.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna add mentally stable.
That's right. Okay, that's a feel, right? Feel. That means no worry, right? See, worry is a state of mind. Financial worry is the mind. Financial stress is the body. Financial anxiety is the mind and body. We got to begin with the end in mind. My challenge to you tonight is you think about that and put it in pen to paper. How you want to look? feel and how you want to live. Given what you heard statistically from Nikita, how do you want to live? 71 and beyond. What are you working towards if you're not 71 yet? And if you are 71, what are you working towards? What is it that you desire life to look like 71 and beyond? Can someone just be real with me? Huh? Okay.
Black freedom,
Financial freedom, time freedom, what does that look like?
flexibility.
Flexibility, options,
Eating good food instead of medicine.
good food, medicine, not instead of medicine, right? What about travel?
Yeah.
Travel, right?
Yeah.
If those are the things that you want to experience in your living,
Right.
the question I have for you, if the life expectancy of women is 81 and men is 76, and we take off 10 years, and we're talking 71 for women and 66 for men, from a planning standpoint, how old are you today? And how many years do you have to get to that number? Give me a number, Ernest.
4 years.
4 more years. Okay. Somebody else give me a number. 13? Okay. 5? Okay. So now, again, talk about practical stuff. Guys, you'll be doing yourself a disservice if you don't put pen to paper and let's map out this stuff I'm walking you through. You see, the reason I have this, the reason I'm doing what I'm doing, and the reason I do what I do is because I made a decision. I started thinking about financial independence as a 10th grade in high school. I grew up in a small town outside of Savannah, Georgia. I wanted to play college basketball. My scholarship fell through. I turned down my academic scholarships and enlisted in the Army. I started thinking about financial independence because my dad worked swing shift. He was a hard worker. He was not at my games, but he was a provider. In fact, I celebrate my dad. He retired this year, last month. 55 years in one employment.
Wow.
55 years with one employee. My dad was on one job for longer than I've been alive. And in that experience, what I said was, I appreciate all that he has been and what he does. I just wanted something different. And so I always said I wanted to be the dad that was around. And so when I departed the military, in the 90-day window, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and 90 days after reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, I acquired over $1 million in assets in 90 days by applying a couple of concepts from the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Those concepts, number one, was about the flow of money difference between the poor, the middle class, and the wealthy. The flow of money for the poor goes income to expenses and out the window. The middle class goes income liability that has an expense, and then it's out the window. But the wealthy go income to asset, income to asset, income to asset. If you don't do anything else, just take that one thing and apply it. That's what I did. I said, what? This is it. It's a pause button. But see, finance is an 80% behavior, 20% know-how. 80% behavior, 20% know-how. So it's easy for me to walk you through and say that, but if you don't have the discipline to then make that shift, then. And so in saying that, when I had my daughter, Nadia, in 2004, I ran my numbers. And I saw that I was in a position financially, because of cash flow, that I could literally walk away from a phenomenal job as a senior systems analyst for the Missile Defense Agency and move to Jacksonville site on the scene back in 2004. So I shared that story with you because I want you to think about what you really desire and then start acting in accordance to the outcome that you desire. And the reason I go through those numbers the way I do is because I went into the financial services, and within a week of being in the business, I realized my background and experience didn't matter. Because it wasn't a job of actually making people money. It was a sales job. I had to have enough people out saying I was a great guy. And that shocked me. Because as a young black man coming back south with what I had, I was like, yo, I'm coming back, I'm not gonna represent. But lo and behold, I came into a place, into a market that just didn't move the same way that other areas moved. But I rolled my sleeves up. I threw myself into the community. And consequently, what I saw was still yet there was a shift that had to be made. And I just said, I had to make this shift. I put my name in the hat for the White House Fellows Program, and there were 5,000 applicants, 32 finalists, 15 selected. I was one of the 32 finalists, and when I saw that, I said, well, it's not me, it's the market. And that's when I made a decision to do less of networking, less of this stuff, and more about let's do some things where people are really shifting their mindset. And that's why I'm grateful about what Randolph does. Guys, you guys are in a rare space. But you gotta really dial in. Collectively dial in. Because if you're gonna spend the time with people, then you wanna start acting in accordance with what you really desire. Because beyond changing your habits, the thing that's gonna have the greatest impact on you is changing the seat that you're sitting in. Look to your left and to your right, that's gonna greatly determine where you're gonna be. So going from skeptical and broke to smart, we are talking about smart, right? Be inquisitive. Take the next step. Investigate. Now, being sexy. Sexy is about you being the asset. I have 4 pillars. Remember, you are the asset, alignment before assignment, how to think versus what to think, and life is rich. Again, you are the asset. There's no better return on investment than in you. The farther away you are from that thing you're putting your money into, the greater the risk that you have. The thing that you can invest in and actually get a real return on is yourself. And the great thing about it is the government will pay you to learn. If you're a business owner, continuing education is a great investment. The thing is, you just got to get things structured the right way. Having an LLC just as an LLC, that's a liability function. What I recommend to you is that you make sure that with your LLC, you're making at least $1,000 a month, gross. Gross. So that you then makes it count. And then you want to look at $12,000 in profit. Because with that $12,000 in profit, now you're in a good place to now make that LLC be treated as an S-corp. So that then you're able to then shift it over to the HRA with the right planning. Don't go out and try to do that stuff for yourself. Have it done the right way. And see, by doing that, you're now able to focus on you being an asset. So there are 5 things you want to build. Number one, you want to build out your publishing. You want to start putting things out in some way, shape, or form that shows that you're a thought leader in the space in which you're engaging in. Okay, you're publishing. In that addition to that publishing, the next thing you want to do, number 2, is that you want to look at what can you productize. What can you offer up so that in turn you can actually get some type of revenue being generated because you're offering something of value. You don't have to create it yourself. You can do that through some type of an affiliate relationship. Network marketing, digital marketing. You can do things that in turn complement what you already are doing. I'm not talking about pitching companies.
Right.
That's not yours. It's great that you're all into your ACN and your Mary Kay and your Mellow Luke and all these things, but that's not your company. That's not your company. You're in a relationship with that company, and they're saying if you go do this, then they will give you money for what you've done. Okay? So make sure that you in turn create yourself some type of platform which you are considered an expert in your space. Solve a problem. Sell the problem, not the solution. Okay? Now, if you do those two things, then what's going to happen is you're going to start to be able in a situation where you can now push out your profile. You can develop a profile when someone looks you up, they can see a paper trail of some sort. And then lastly, what I want to give you is partnerships. Partnerships. Start working collaboratively, looking at where those things that complement what you're doing and offering so you can get one to many. So that you don't have to go and create your own audience, but you can now plug into something and offer it up. That's the sexy part, focusing on you. And then last is sustainability. Sustainability. Sustainability is about you putting something in place that allows you to not be so concerned about running out of money. Because no matter what level of wealth one creates, oftentimes that is still the number one concern. Why? Because life expectancy has increased. So cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. So you want to put yourself in a situation where you start looking at things in the context of monthly recurring revenue. Sustainable, predictable, repeatable, and growth. Sustainable, predictable, repeatable, and growth. That's so important. Now, I've given you a lot, and I'm going to ensure that I don't hold you, but if you wouldn't mind, do me a huge favor. We talked about skepticism, going from skeptical to broke, transforming from skeptical to broke to smart, sexy, and sustainable. Somebody just give me something of value that you received from the night that you can walk away with and do something. Yes, sir.
Productize. Create cash flow and return back.
There you go. That's the money right there. Thank you. Yes.
Creating your own, it's your business and you leverage the products.
Yes, yes. I left out the P, so let me tell you what I meant to tell you from the beginning is your pitch. Your pitch is the thing that's going to cause that to be. So that should be number one. Number one should be your pitch. Number two then should be your publishing. Number three then is your product side. Number four is your profile. And number five is your partner. Thank you. Somebody want to hear? Yes, sir. You are the asset. All right. Well, thank you for giving that feedback. Listen, my name is Nate Scott. Text liquidity. Text liquidity to 904-544-7424. Text liquidity to 904-544-7424. And if you do that, then I'm going to send you some stuff that I just forgot to get to. But by a show of hands, how many of you know Alex Hormozy? Nope? Okay. So Alex Hormozy, and do you have his 100 million?
Oh yes, I have this.
The new one from the launch?
Most recently.
Okay. All right, cool. Because I was going to give you that. I said, that was going to give that to you. Let's give it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay, I got you covered. Bottom line is that Alex Hormozy in August did his book launch, and his book launch was based on breaking the world record for most nonfiction books sold in 24 hours. That was his goal. He sold 2,917 books in 24 hours. You think maybe you can learn a little bit from him? In 72 hours, when he closed his cart, he made 105 million. Remember I said ignorance and taxes are the biggest expenses? My gift to those that actually follow through with what I said to do is that I'm going to give you an opportunity to get that copy of the book. Because in that 105 million, he was selling in 200, in bunches of 200. I bought 200. Okay? Because I knew that I was going to be speaking and doing things, and I wanted to see where I can actually give value and give people the opportunity to get past that ignorance point. And so if you follow through, then I'll show you how to get that. And then I'll also give you some information about the upcoming tax, webinar that we're gonna do. But first and foremost, like I said, I thank once again Randolph for what he does and how he does it. And I really want you guys to please follow through with putting your reviews out there, and let's really continue to support who he is and what he's doing, because it takes people coming together and really doing this in a meaningful way. So I would encourage you guys to think collectively and start to really engage in a meaningful way. If I can give any service to you, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, I do have books here too. Take care. Be blessed.
Everybody,